And we are live. What is up? Good morning, everybody. Aaron the dog back with breakdown number 1 of the day for Wednesday. May the 4th be with you. This is the PFL number 3 breakdown show headlined by Kayla Harrison versus Marina Mokhnatkina in the headliner. Lightweight, female lightweights, and welterweights on display this week. Coming to you a little bit early just because got 3 breakdowns today. Got the UFC breakdown later at 2 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time. And then immediately or somewhat after that, around 5 p.m., LFA breakdown with Lucky Locks himself making the return. Wasn't able to make the journey for the PFL yet. We're still figuring that out, but it's all good. Got interesting card here. I'll put it that way. Always interesting with the PFL and kind of their whole priorities with everything, but I'm not gonna, make this a long intro or anything. I think that we can just go ahead and join into the breakdown. If you're joining me later, timestamps are available in the comments by now. If you're joining me live, thanks for being here live. I know this is a little impromptu. Like I said, UFC and LFA breakdowns later as well, but let's go ahead and get into this one without any further ado. And we are going to start at the bottom as always. This is from Arlington, Texas today. And we're starting with the female lightweights. And pretty bizarre way to start here because we've got the return, the long-awaited return, a return of Vanessa Mello to the 155 division, taking on Martina Gendarova, who just came off of the PFL Challenger Series. We're going to say that about a couple fighters tonight. 31 versus 34, 5'8" for Gendarova. I would say Gendarova is the more natural 155er and has at least fought at this weight, even recently. So 4-2 overall for Martina. Like I said, came off of the Challenger Series. That was in March. So literally 2 months ago. It was against a very inexperienced kickboxer in Jacqueline Cavalcanti. It was a very close fight. I actually had Jacqueline going into the fight. I'm not super blown away from what I've seen by Gendarova so far. Has some pretty competitive fights, lost a neck crank, lost to Tamaris Vidal by decision. No wins of note on her record, facing Jorina Bars in Muay Thai. Obviously very impressive. Jorina, one of the best Muay Thai practitioners, beat Cyborg back in the day. Visceral, Kelly, what up? Kegs and Eggs and a bum-ass PFL. Hey, leave it alone. There's some good fights on here. But this isn't one of them, I'll be honest. Gendarova hasn't really impressed me. It was supposed to face Cyborg in her Muay Thai vow, went to Jorina Bars. So has faced some high-level competition, particularly in kickboxing, but hasn't showed up too much in MMA yet. There was what was able to allow her to mix it up against Jacqueline Cavalcanti, very inexperienced fighter. Vanessa Mello, Miss Sampatia, 11-8. Who hasn't been waiting for the Vanessa Mello return here? I guess I haven't. I'll be honest. Wasn't too impressed with her run inside the UFC. She's been an announcer for quite some time now. Has not fought, since, she just, all the way around. Just, this is a very weird fight. Faced Sarah Moraes at UFC in last January. She got the decision win. That was at bantamweight. She was an underdog of plus 160 against Moraes. That was coming off 3 straight losses here. And just all sorts of craziness. And the craziness continues because I have to come back in 2 seconds because, of course, I have to pick up a dog who is showing up early. So literally we'll be right back. But long story short with this one, Vanessa Mello going up 2 weight classes, hasn't fought in over a year. Not sure if she's even been active. This isn't one I'm really looking to touch. I see some people on Vanessa Mello as the underdog. She very well could come in. I'm going to go with Martina Gendarova being the active fighter and the actual 155er. So that being said, yeah, it's a minus 145 for Gendarova, plus 125 for Mello. I'll literally be right back. I don't even have a co-host to hang on, so you get to look at my background for 2 seconds. I apologize, everybody. Thank you for sticking with me. Literally 2 seconds. Really sorry, guys. And then sounds like she got married, yeah, and got married to, I believe, Dan Hardy, by the way. Sorry about the hold up there, everybody. I really appreciate you sticking with me. But yeah, going from 135 to 155, I don't love it. And I just think that overall Mello seems to, not really be here for the right reasons. The first couple fights of the night, overall, the female 155 fights, you don't want these to be the ones that cost you too much. But this next one, I got to admit, I feel pretty good about it. Between Abby Montes and Olina Kalinsnik. And this is the second of the 155 fights to start out the night here. Abby Montes, I think one of the, besides obviously Kayla Harrison, one of the probably more impressive 155ers in this division that might kind of say something about this division. 5-4 for the Tiger Muay Thai. Kalinsnik, the Cannon, 32 years old, 5'9", 68-inch reach against a 5'6", 1-inch reach disadvantage for Montes, but she's a wrestler out of Mexico, 22 years old, 3-0. I think she's definitely much more of the intriguing prospect of the two of these, and I think she has a pretty clear route to victory in this fight. 3-0, as I said, for Abby here. Hasn't fought since being in the PFL in October of last year. 3 straight wins for her. 22 years old, still very young in her career. Took that split decision over Clarissa Shields, but I don't think that was a split, frankly. And, just very good, strong wrestling. Montes looks like a Neanderthal. I saw her on an old Geico commercial. That's not very fair. And they go all Conor McGregor on us. You guys are talking about a whole nother thing in there with the OnlyFans. I'm not going to touch that. But Montes, the win over Claudia Zamora for her debut. That's a decent debut win as well. Claudia Zamora just fought recently as well, coming up short. But yeah, 3 wins over, low levels of competition. Clarissa Shields, I've been less than impressed with so far. And I think that's most of us. Clarissa sure tries, but Abby went in there and did what she needed to do, started to ground her, and I was all over that line there. And Alina Kalinsnik, similar. She wants to keep this fight on the feet. She's mostly a kickboxer, or a boxer, I should say. She's lost 4 straight fights. Hasn't fought since June of last year. Came up short there. 5-4, not great. Losses to Taylor Guardado, Pam Sorensen, Felicia Spencer, and Larissa Pacheco are the last 4. But Larissa Pacheco, she made look like a world-class boxer. Her defense both submission-wise and honestly, just overall, I'm not too impressed with. Abby's getting this to the ground on repeat, and I think that probably she gets the finish. I just don't know enough about Abby's jiu-jitsu credentials, but she has a ground and pound finish previously. Abby gets this down and finishes Kalinsnik inside the distance. So, I don't believe either one of these two have OnlyFans. So whatever is going on in the comments right now, that won't have to come up for Abby Montes at least. But we'll move on to the next fight here at 170. Very good fight. I apologize not trying to breeze through any of these fights. Never am. I just, want to make sure that if I have things to say about them, I do. If I don't, we move on. And the female 155 division, it's tough to find things to talk about at times, to be honest. So this fight is at 170. It's a very good fight here between Gleison Tebow and Jarrah Hussein Al-Saway. Jarrah, definitely one of the guys of this season of PFL in any division. I think that a lot of people are expecting to really take that next level, that next step up with regards to his level of performance, his level of competition, all the above. So very, very excited to see how he does in this one against a legit test in Gleison Tebow, who I've liked how Gleison Tebow's looked at 170. I think that it makes complete sense for him. Jarrah last fought in February with the PFL Challenger Series, got the win there. Looks very good there. 5'11", he's going to have a reach advantage. He's going to have to use his movement, going to have to use his striking, obviously, in this one. Ended Ismail Naradev with leg kicks a few fights ago. Very impressive. Put away Lily with that clean knee in the first round of their fight. Did what he needed to do. I will say this, going from Michael Lilly to Gleison Tebow, quite a step up in competition for sure. And overall, Jarrah Al-Saway, he's looked really good. He's only had a few losses to legit competition. Lost to Carl Booth in his second fight of his career. So in 2014, I'm not going to hold that too much against him. Mohamed Fakhreddin, a very tricky fighter, went to a split decision with him. In 2016, you see the wins rattling off. Good ground fighter for considering that his striking is really what where he butters his bread. Had a finish over Carlston Harris, former Brave CF champion. Definitely a legit finish there. He's for the most part though, faced a certain level of regional competition. It's been above average for sure, but not a lot of names. He avenged the Carl Booth fight eventually, beat Daniel Scatizzi. So he's got some good wins on his record for sure. Able to go to distance, is in good shape as well. And Gleison Tebow is just one of these guys who, he's greasy, he's crafty. Obviously had that controversial decision last year against Rory McDonald, split decision. Then took Micah Terrell out. Micah Terrell, not a very high-level opponent, obviously. But, I don't mean to compare Brazilians to Brazilians, but Raush Manfio wins decision after decision when he doesn't seem to win them. Gleison Tebow, I believe, has the ability to do that. Just make these fights that maybe he isn't even winning appear to, be on the right side of it. This is a spot where Jarrah Al-Saway is – I'm seeing everybody's all over Jarrah here and really, really expecting high things out of him. And I think that's great. He's a very exciting fighter, but I think that Tebow still has quite a bit left in the tank. I think he knows how to beat this type of opponent. At 170, he's allowed to keep a much higher pace, and I think that pace and pressure is going to expose a little bit of Jarrah's record here. 17-3, it's really good. You see these long 8-fight win streaks, but he's not fighting a variety of opponents. And, you're seeing several like Kimura finishes on his record. I get Kimura's can be done, but I don't love to see a lot of those. I think that is a little bit of an indication of the type of level. I just think that, Gleison Tebow, he arguably gave Khabib his hardest fight of his career. It's just, I think Sawai is going to have to knock him out, and I think that Gleason is going to be able to survive the fire, put the pressure on, and eke out a decision here. So first underdog of the night that I am going with is going to be Gleason Tebow, and he is a hefty plus 225. I do not agree with this pricing at all. Regardless, I do think Al-Saway can certainly win, but that's a crazy price. Minus 300 on Jarrah here, coming off of the Challengers series, and his cardio is decent, but if it's being fought in his type of fight. I think if Gleason makes this a more gritty, cage pressure, vertical grappling type of fight, I think he can wear down Jarrah. Jarrah's much more comfortable in a kind of kickboxing movement type of affair. So it's about which fighter can impose their will. I believe Gleason Tebow is going to be able to here. I think Jarrah is getting a little bit overblown here, and Jarrah beat not just a 7-6 opponent, a 7-6 Mike Lilly. Go back and watch Mike Lilly fights. It's not the same level as Gleason. Gleason is 38 years old at this point, 29 for Jarrah, so it could be a passing of the torch, but I think that Gleason extended his career quite nicely by going to 170, and I think he's, there's always the questions of the supplements and everything else with him. So just, a buyer beware, but I'm taking a shot at the plus 225 here. I do not think that Jarrah is worthy of a minus 300 price tag. So going to move on here to the next one, but Gleason Tebow, my first underdog. I mean, this lets you know how the PFL feels about the 155. Yeah, Tebow is a plus 225 dog at NJ81. Go jump on that because Jarrah minus 300. He's a Tapology sweetheart. You can go and look at that record and get a little lost in the sauce. But, I mean, again, it's much more than that. So maybe Jarrah comes out and start. I don't see that. I just don't see that. I think, if anything, Jarrah should be a very slight favorite. I agree. So go ahead, jump on that. That line, I don't expect to stay that way. So I already had put my bet down on Tebow. I think he edges out a decision, honestly. So, going to go on to the next fight here. We have 3 of our 4 155 fights on the first 4 fights of the card. That lets you know how they feel about this division. The bridesmaid of the 155 division, she'd be a multimillionaire if it wasn't for Kayla Harrison. Larissa Pacheco makes her return, and she's taking on Zamazagulov Faizalanova. Oh, a nice, easy name for first thing in the morning here. But yeah, Larissa versus the Zamazagul, also known as Bope, out of Kazakhstan. Kazakhstan, to be specific. Larissa Pacheco, still only 27 and a half years old, 15-4. Bulldog Formiga team, 5'6", 69-inch reach against the 5'7", former featherweight in Bope, who is 7-1. Good record here. So I will be breaking down Bope first here, who, looks to be quite jacked. She's fighting at 155 now, usually fights at featherweight. So it'll be interesting to see how the judoka comes in here. Avastana Patriot, never heard of that organization, hasn't fought since October of last year. 4 straight wins for her coming into this one. Overall, 7-1, like I said. Has a couple KOs in her last 4. A couple submissions by armbar on her record. Has faced no one of note in her entire career. She's fought with Alash Pride FC. I've never heard of. Fight Nights Global, 1 fight with them as well. But yeah, don't know a lot about this organization or any of the opponents that she's faced other than Liana Jojua, who she did beat by split decision in 2016. Lost to Svetlana Khanatova. No fight tape really to be found. She was supposed to face Mariana Moraes last August. She did withdraw from that fight. That would have been an interesting one to at least get some idea of what she's looking like here. And Larissa Pacheco, we all know Larissa Pacheco at this point. Definitely appears to be on some supplements, but that's why she's not in the UFC anymore, and she's enjoying the lax PFL drug testing, if they do even drug test. I'm not sure, honestly, but 2 straight wins for her. Hasn't fought since June when she beat Alina Kalinsnik. 2-punch combo. Ground and pound finish of Julia Pacheco, who looked like she did not belong in an MMA ring of any sort. So those last 2 wins, not exactly high level, but is what it is. She loses decisions to Kayla Harrison. That's pretty amazing. She doesn't get finished by Kayla Harrison, just gets dominated for the fights. So that's a positive for Larissa. Otherwise, she puts away the opponents she faces, like Bobby Joe Danzel. She got the armbar on, pretty much smothered, depleted Sarah Kaufman, and then her last 2 wins, not of note. Was supposed to face Taylor Guardado last August, and Pacheco missed weight. She is missing weight at 155 pounds. Like that, if that doesn't tell you that she's on some sort of sauce, I don't know what does. I'm taking the sauce queen, Larissa Pacheco, needless to say here. The price is unplayable, nearly at minus 650 against a plus 425 Zamagul Zainova. So, I mean, maybe Zamagul comes out and shocks her. If it were, I would think it would have to be on the feet, catching her early. Otherwise, I think Larissa just kind of rolls here. So we're going to move on to the next fight here. And, yeah. And I have another pickup. So 1 second before we begin the next fight here. I apologize. All right, sorry guys, this is part of why I don't do these in the morning, but now we should be good for the rest of the time here. Move on though to the next one. Yeah, Larissa Pacheco should roll though. And then a lot of girls moving up. Yeah, I mean, hey, you got a chance at 155, or you got a chance at $1 million if somehow Kayla Harrison slips and falls and is out of the tournament. Think about it. Vanessa Mello could be like a Gendarova, like Pacheco, and a couple other fights for winning $1 million. And so I'm not going to judge that, but I apologize for the interruptions. That should be the end of the interruptions for the breakdown, but this is part of why I don't do them in the morning. I do a doggy daycare here, and doggy daycare starts when people go to work. So, yeah, moving on to 170 division, we have the long-awaited rematch at 170 here. So this should be an interesting fight, a rematch of last year. Last year, one of the sloppiest, fights of the year. And Sabadu Sai, the Swedish Denzel, I believe, is his nickname, taking on Nikolai Alisakin, the Russian here. We're going to break down Nikolai here. First, this guy came in with that really impressive 26-6 record. A lot of hype behind him. Looked to be in very good shape. Seemed to be very well-rounded. And I'll be honest, I was quite underwhelmed by his performance in PFL. So it'll be interesting. Trains with the likes of Vladimir Nemkov and all those guys at Alexander Nevsky and Stary Oskal. Hasn't fought since June of last year. He got the loss there. He's fighting out of Russia, hasn't fought in the States all that much, and seems that it's been a little bit of an adjustment. He had the no contest with Saba Dusai, where there was faked low blows. There's an eye poke. Saba Dusai was on his way in that fight too, and looking really, really well at keeping the fight on the feet. That's what Saba Dusai has gotten better and better throughout his career at. You know what Saba Dusai wants to do. He wants to kickbox. And he's gotten better at getting it there. So he had the no contest, followed that up with a loss to Ray Cooper in June. Ray Cooper just, kind of dominated him. And then he had to withdraw from his fight with Brett Cooper in August. So, I've been a little bit overwhelmed with Alisakin so far in his PFL career. I'm not seeing the same guy as on the wrestling regional scene. There could be a lot of reasons for that. Level of competition, fighting in the States. Other reasons, I don't know. I mean, he's got solid wins in his career. He's got the Mike Graves finish. He's got the Rodrigo Cavallero finish. Jonathan Webb win. Jesse Ronson, he finished in the PFL to start out his career in 2019. Losing to guys like Ben Askren. I mean, Saeed Isgamayev. I mean, not bad losses either. And this is a rematch here. I mean, he was really, really struggling and you thought Sai was losing that fight on his way to losing. Yeah, but I mean, still, Sai, either way, I think that was a weird fight. I'm trying to kind of ignore that one a little bit, but it does kind of leave it with if Sai can stuff those takedowns of Alisakin, I think that he can win on the feet. Long story short here, but Saba Dusai, if there's one thing that he's consistent with, it's inconsistency. 9-6-2 record for Saba Dusai, the Swedish Denzel. I mean, I love the nickname. I love the guy. He's fun to watch. 80-inch reach, 6'3", fantastic length for this division. 35 years old now, coming off of a loss to Magomed Kirimov. That was definitely a tough one. Looked really good against Alexei Kunchenko, though. And Alexei Kunchenko, good morning, Justin. Yeah, and Alexei Kunchenko is no joke. Maybe the best days of Alexei's career are behind him, but still Sabadu knows what he has to do. If he keeps the fight on the feet, he has a chance against a lot of these guys at the 170 division. Don't let the records fool you here at all. 9-6-2. I mean, yeah, he lost to Glacio Franca, who by ground and pound at the end of that fight. Had a draw with Ray Cooper, the no contest with Alisakin. I mean, these are, pretty good results. The draw with Bruno Santos back in the day at 185. I mean, he was fighting at 185. Now being able to get down to 170. We saw the Dave Michaud finish. He's got brutal kicks, and then, it's just, can he keep that pace? Can he keep the focus? And can he keep the pressure off of Alisakin? I'm tempted to go with Saba Dusai here. But I do think that Saba Dusai was fighting near his peak in that fight with Alisakin, and Alisakin seemed to have something off for a lot of last year and still was, as NJ81's here saying, the Russian was taking over. I think the Russian learns from this fight, uses the pressure and everything, and gets a decision win. I think this is going to be close. I think Sai is going to have his moments in this fight. I think it should be very good. I do believe the first fight was a good fight, even though I'm seeing some people here saying they feel Sai was starting to lose. Sai plus 120, minus 150 on Alisakin. I'm going to take Alisakin minus 150 here. I like the spot, honestly. And, it's one of these things you don't need to get overcommitted to, but I do think at minus 150, it's worth taking a shot or including Alisakin with some of your more confidence. So, good luck to Sabadu. I'd love to see him, come out and get the finish. That would be very exciting, but I'm going to go with Alisakin here. So going with brain over heart here. Next fight at 155, probably the best 155 fight on the card, including the Kayla Harrison one, and Jenna Fabian taking on the newcomer in Julia Budd. Julia Budd, definitely very, very well-known. Appreciate NJ81. I appreciate the compliment there. Julia Budd, one of the more exciting additions for any division in PFL because they really didn't make a ton here. 16-3 for the Canadian. She is nearly 39 years old now. Trains with her husband, I believe, and Lance Gibson Sr. Trains with Lance Gibson Jr. at Gibson MMA. Taking on Jenna Fabian. 6 foot tall, 74-inch reach. Going to have a significant size advantage here over Julia, who has fought 155, which is good. Jenna Fabian is 32 and a half, nearly 33. So these are two older 155ers, but Julia, the Jewel Bud, we'll see how much she's got left here. Her Bellator run was okay at times. I don't think she blew me away. She's much less of a pure Muay Thai fighter than she used to be, definitely mixing up a lot of cage pressure and takedowns into her game at this point, going to a decision a little more often. In fact, all her Bellator fights, her last 3 Bellator fights, all went to a decision. She got wins over Jessie Malay, good, decent win. Diana Silva, who just busted the win last week. Diana Silva's tricky. It was a split decision. Julia did struggle with the pressure at times, and then Caitlin Young, solid decision there. Nothing like incredible at all. Julia Buzz finished, I think, lost her last fight, was gifted a decision. Okay, 2 fights against it. Yeah, Diana Silva is, kind of making a lot of girls fight very weird, though. Diana Silva is quite a tricky fight. Excuse me. Fighter over with Bellator. And then, Justin, we're doing the UFC at 2 p.m., 11 a.m. your time, and then LFA at 5 p.m., 2 p.m. your time. So UFC this afternoon, LFA this evening with Lucky Locks. But yeah, I mean, Diana probably was robbed in that fight, frankly. And then the Caitlin Young fight, I mean, Julia Budd's going to beat girls like Caitlin Young. Had a decent fight with Cyborg back in the day, was put away in the 4th round. I think that Julia's going to, resort to a lot of similar approaches she's used in the last few. She'll use her kickboxing, but she's not going to mix it up on the feet with Jenna Fabian too much here. That's Jenna Fabian's route to win this fight. Jenna Fabian has the reach and size advantage, and I think overall is just a pretty solid stand-up fighter, and on the ground has some struggles. She was finished by Kayla Harrison, no shame there, obviously. Bobby Joe Dalziel also kind of controlled her on the ground. That was early on in her MMA career in 2019, of course. But that being said, I do think that Julia Budd's just going to make this a pretty boring, mix it up with MMA. I would love to see, and Fabian is at City Kickboxing, yes. And I would love to see these two just trade on the feet. I just don't think Bud is looking to do that at this point in her career. I think she's looking to avoid damage and keep fights, a little more clean and mix it up. And mixing it up against Jenna Fabian is how you beat Jenna Fabian. Fighting Jenna Fabian in a pure kickboxing fight is not. So I think Julia Budd, is going to put a lot of cage pressure here, get some takedowns, mix it up. Maybe she is able to, get a rear naked choke because Bud does have some decent jiu-jitsu, especially compared to Fabian. But I like Bud in this spot. Honestly, overall, unless it turns into a stand-up war and Fabian can maybe use a bit of power and get this one done. But I got Julia Budd. I like the price at minus 225. She is one of my parlay pieces for the night. So give me Julia Budd by decision. But hopefully it's a good fight. Should be interesting. Again, Julia Budd, nearly 39 years old, was not re-signed by the UFC or Bellator, and possibly for a reason. So we're on to our featured prelim of the night at 170 pounds. Yeah, I mean, the idea is definitely Bud versus Kayla for the finals, I would think. Yeah. I would pick Julia Budd over Larissa Pacheco also. So and I mean, Bud looked a lot better than the Diana Silva fight. The Diana Silva fight was like a terrible performance that she still got out of there with the win. But I understand NJ81. I'm going to take her here in this spot, though. I think Diana Silva's not as bad as a lot of people think either. But this is our featured prelim here. Joel Zepharino taking on Magomed Kirimov here in a very good fight at 170. I think this one's going a little bit under the radar here. I like João Zepharino a lot. He's really, really fun to watch. He's been impressive. He's been with World Series of Fighting since 2015. He's fought at 155. He's fought at 185 back in the day. Now fighting at 170, which I do believe is his proper weight class, known as the Brazilian Samurai. I mean, I just don't know how you can watch this guy and not enjoy this guy's a fighter. Renzo Gracie Academy, 5 straight wins for him. Last fought in June of last year. 5'9", 69-inch reach. He's not one of the bigger 170ers, but he does, hit like a truck. He's got really, really good jiu-jitsu as well. And good speed overall. His last 5 wins over a decent level of competition. Paul Bradley, not great, but the blitz he put on him, incredible. Yuri Villafort, got that rear naked choke after a gritty win, gritted out that decision against Bohan Veklovic. Again, those aren't huge wins, but they're solid wins. Gleison Tebow, that win really impressed me, that decision there, and then did what he was supposed to against Jason Poney and made Jason Poney look, terrible, what Jason Poney, frankly, kind of is. João Zepharino, he throws a variety of strikes here. He's got good jiu-jitsu, good top game. Fights guys very, very close. Losses coming to Tirado and John Fitch, and then a ground and pound loss to Brian Foster at 155 back in the day. This guy, he's very, very exciting. I think he did the right thing in moving up to 170. I think it's been much better fit for him. Fights a good pace, has good speed and everything like that. And I mean, he can really hurt his opponents. Magomed Kirimov, it's just, he's such a practitioner. He's so composed, and there's sometimes almost too composed, starts a little bit too slow for my liking. Seemed like there was something going on with Magomed during last year's season. Throughout the season, it seemed like he had some injury issues he was working through and everything like that. He did end up losing to Ray Cooper in the finals, got knocked out, first knockout of his career. The leg kicks were really affecting him. He seemed to be moving odd, and I'm just curious how his recovery has been going. And I think one key for João, which he doesn't do a ton of in his fights, is leg kicks. If João can implement some leg kicks, use that speed to dart in and out here and make this, a little bit of a war. Magomed Kirimov likes fights to be tactic fights, likes them to be where he's kind of controlling where the fight goes, when the fight goes to the ground, using his submissions when he needs to, controlling with the wrestling. Just overall, he's very good, though. I mean, you look at his PFL run has been nothing but success. He did start with that split decision, which, again, against Bobby Cooper, where Bobby Cooper really pushed the pace. He pushed the pressure, didn't allow Magomed Kirimov to get comfortable. And I do think at times he can freeze up a little bit and start to become almost over defensive. And Zepharino is pure offense here.
Attorneys be your best with Thomson Reuters Practical Law.
I do think that, that's a little bit of a problem at times for Magomed Kirimov, is that he becomes a little bit too defensively oriented and allows his opponents to push the pace a little bit, makes for some close fights at times, like that Bobby Cooper fight, like the fight with Ray Cooper, where he really pushed the pace. Even the Sabadou Sai fight, there are a lot of points in that where he was struggling. So should be a really, really interesting fight here. Magomed Kirimov, he's got 2 wins over Chris Curtis. He's got a win over Ray Cooper. He's faced a who's who since being in here. He's definitely faced the slightly higher level. These guys were supposed to fight twice before, supposed to fight in August or April, and Magomed had to withdraw. And then they were supposed to fight in August, and Zepharino had to withdraw. So I'm really looking forward to this fight. Plain and simple. I'm quite surprised by the price here. For me, I do see a route where Zepharino can result in getting a finish here. I know Magomed has only been finished one time. I'm curious to see how he comes off of that defeat against Ray Cooper. It was about 7 months ago. I just don't agree with this price at all. Magomed Kirimov, I'm seeing at minus 550, plus 400 on a Zepharino. I just think that's a very disrespectful price on a one of the stalwarts of World Series of Fighting in PFL, and Joe Zepharino. I think Zepharino is very good. He's very offensively oriented, and he has the ability to finish. I think Magomed Kirimov most likely edges out a decision. He's just a little more technical and can keep the fights where he wants. But I don't think Zepharino is a plus 400 dog. So I'm gonna say that Magomed Kirimov does get the decision, but this is a dogger pass from a betting perspective here. Zepharino at plus 400 is not a bad shot at all, and you don't have to overly invest in it. I do think Zepharino is much better than most people realize here. So I'm going to move on to the main card here, starting in main card is, okay. I kind of like the prelims a little more than the main card at points, certain fights at least. But going to move on to the main card with Rory McDonald taking on Brett Cooper here in a fight at 170. Rory McDonald definitely on the downslope, but still one of the best 170ers in the world, but certainly has taken a few steps back from the wars and just the overall, the overall workload he's had at Sanford MMA now, 22-8-1. He's 32, nearly 33 years old now, taking on Brett Cooper, 34 years old, nearly 35 years old. He's been all around, 6 foot tall, 72-inch reach. He's going to have a 7-inch reach disadvantage in this fight against Rory. Should be a exciting fight for how long it lasts, but and this card's stacked at the top for Visceral. Brett Cooper, Fudoshin is his nickname, 28-15 overall record here. 2 straight wins for him. Last fought in August with the PFL, getting a standing KO of Tyler Hill. Tyler Hill is okay, but I mean, he did look good. He had heavy hands in that one, put on the pressure. It was his first fight in 2 years since he took pretty rough illegal knees against his Russian opponent. That was how he got his win. So really 3 straight kind of losses or beatings for him coming into that fight with PFL. He got choked out an ACA by Salamu Abdurkirmanov, and then Sharaf Davalamuradov knocked him out in the second round. So a little bit of a rough go of it. He's got solid wins throughout his career. Azmat Amagov, a very good fighter. Sharaf Davalamuradov, he did beat previously. Lost to Berkamanov. I mean, he's losing to really solid guys with ACA, ACB. Lost to Mikhail Fakao back in the day. I mean, he's been around for a long, long time. Heavy hands, good pressure himself. He's, kind of a killer be killed type of guy. And in this fight with Rory McDonald, I just think that, and Magomed minus 600 now. I mean, people really love him. I think Zhao is worth a shot, especially at like plus 500. That's crazy to me. But maybe I'll be the one who's laughing at, or maybe I'll look at that after and be like, it makes sense. But Red King here, 22-8-1, 2 straight losses for him. The loss against Tebow, I question, but still fighting Tebow very closely was just a little bit of a red flag there. 3 of his last 4 fights have been losses. Got that decision loss against Lima. Lima kind of ran through him a little bit with Bellator too. Did what he needed to do against Curtis Melender. I'm not going to really rate that too highly. Plus 370. Yeah, plus 400. Let's hit it. And then Ray Cooper just kind of handled him. Now he's taking on Brett Cooper, obviously a very different Cooper. But either way, I just I do like Rory McDonald in this spot. I think that Cooper is going to have to go in there and throw caution to the wind. I think that will a little bit leave Cooper vulnerable for Rory McDonald to get him down, use his ground and pound, use his wrestling position, and even on the feet, I think Rory can more than hold his own. I'm going to take Rory to get a finish in the second round. I'll take the submission finish for Rory McDonald. I think he gets a rear naked choke, we'll say. And then, of course, I'm getting a text that 2 more dogs are on their way here, so might have to wait, but we're going to try to power through and finish off these last 3 fights beforehand. But if I have to disappear one more time, I apologize. Probably not going to keep doing these in the morning just because I'm a little too busy with pickups. But Anthony Pettis taking on Miles Price here. Miles Price last fought against Bobby Pallett, where he did get a split decision, a victory in that one. I was pretty heavily on Bobby Pallett, I'll be honest, in that one. So the nearly 34-year-old Irishman and Miles pulled out the magic, so to speak. Miles Price, 11-7 record, salty Irish record here. But, he's getting his opportunity here. He got that win in his last fight out. As I said, with Bellator against Bobby Pallett, 6 foot tall, 74-inch reach, or it was Peter Quelly, not Bobby Pallett. I apologize. So an even better win, frankly. Last loss was to Norman Park in 2018. So testing himself, pretty well over his last few, as a loss to Kane Musa, who I don't like to see that at all, but, not a bad British MMA fighter. Overall, Miles Price, he's well-rounded, but for the most part, going to look to keep it on the feet. He's faced a good level of competition throughout his career. Mostly goes to a decision. He's decently well-rounded, but, I think with Pettis, he's, brought a pretty willing stand-up dance partner. If Pettis loses this, I think he should just stop fighting and just run Showtime FC, honestly. So this is just a fight that I'm not going to overtrust in Pettis. I think the line is a little scary, but he's facing a guy in Miles Price who he should be levels above. So let's go ahead and go Anthony Pettis to win this fight. This is at lightweight, by the way. This is in a 170 fight, so it's a lightweight featured fight, aka a way to try to get Anthony Pettis a win. So Anthony Pettis by decision, and we're going to move on to the co-main event here, and it is a short notice replacement in the co-main event. I love Carlos Leal. I think this is a brutal spot for him, especially coming off of that last fight with Chris Brown. But yeah, Pettis is back in shape, so this should be a way that he gets. 1 second, I'll be right back. All right. Sorry, one more time, guys. Gonna finish up here now. But obviously, as you can hear, got a puppy here. But yeah, we're gonna finish up here. Apologize for the background noise for a moment, but Ray Cooper versus Carlos Leal, co-main event of the evening. Carlos Leal, I love this guy. You guys all know how much I love and care about the PFL. It is my home away from home. And Carlos Leal definitely is one of the more exciting guys that came out of the PFL last year, winning the welterweight Grand Prix, and then coming back, winning 2 fights on the Challenger Series. Unfortunately, the last fight, not all that impressive. But, I mean, he still edged out the win, but I honestly thought Chris Brown beat him. So he won a split decision against Chris Brown. Couple reasons I'm not crazy about the fight. It was a split decision. It was quite a war, and it was only in April of this year. So only a couple months ago. I think Leal gets pretty big in between fights. I'm concerned about this fight for I'm just concerned about this fight for a lot of X factors outside of the fight. If this was all if it was Carlos Leal preparing on actual notice, I'd feel a lot better. If it was Carlos Leal not coming off of a fight where he got pretty marked up and beat up, I'd feel better. If it was not against the last year's champion and Ray Cooper III, I'd feel better. All these things together, I think we're leaning towards a Ray Cooper KO in this fight. I think Leal only knows how to move forward and do wars. And I just think he's gonna pay for it here. I really are, but obviously Ray Cooper, one of the best 170ers in the world, coming off of that his second championship. He's got legit hands. He is going to be a little bit shorter than he is facing a shorter opponent. I think these guys are going to meet and crash in the middle. Leal definitely has finishing ability. He can finish anybody. I just don't like this fight being taken on such short notice and so soon after him having 2 fights and a war in the second fight. Put away Cup early, and it's a Bobby Green Islam situation. Not quite that exaggerated, but he's taking this on very short notice off of a war. And I love Leal, I really do. I'd love to be wrong here, but I don't think that this is going to go successful for him here. We'll see about the rest of the season, but Carlos Leal plus 325, minus 425 for a Ray Cooper. I'm just going to leave it alone, but that's probably for my allegiance with Carlos Leal. I do think Ray Cooper should be able to handle this and at minimum get a decision, most likely get a finish. So that's the co-main event of the evening. And Freya. But we're on to the main event, the one everybody's been waiting for. I apologize. And I love Bobby Green not against Islam. Right. I like Carlos Leal against a lot of fighters, but not here against the champion Ray Cooper on short notice off of a war. All right. We're on to the main event here against Kayla Harrison. I'll take care of him in a minute. It's not going to be a long breakdown here, obviously, of Kayla. Kayla's minus 7,500 right now against Marina Mokhnatkina. Marina. What can we really say at this point? Marina is 6-2 against the 12-0. Kayla Harrison. Marina has fought at 155. That's the positives. Otherwise, we're not going to have much to talk about here. Kayla Harrison rolls. Do we think Kayla Harrison gets the KO, or do we think Kayla Harrison gets the KO or submission? I'm going Kayla Harrison by ground and pound. So give me the Kayla Harrison KO. Kayla Harrison, I think is the first one to finish Marina Mokhnatkina. I'm not going to spend much time on that. We'll go ahead and wrap this one up with our 5 favorite fights of the night. I apologize for the barking again, guys. The morning's a little bit crazy here, but I'm seeing Zhang Li asking for is 5-fight money line parlay here. Under 1.5 is minus 220. That I would probably say under 1.5, but still, I'm not crazy about betting Kayla Harrison fights. I'll be honest. So that's a 1 minute breakdown on a fight that probably will last about 1 minute. So we'll do our quick picks, and then I'll give my 5 favorites as I'm going along. I'll try to kind of do those as I'm going here. So I got Zhang, and it might be chalky here, but starting at the bottom, Vanessa Mello, Gendarova, not touching that fight, but I would go with Gendarova. Abby Montes, Olena Kalinsnik. Abby Montes, my first of my 5 for my most confident. Gleison Tebow versus Al-Saway. I'm taking Gleison Tebow to get the upset decision. Larissa Pacheco versus Zamagul or Zamzagul. I'll take Pacheco. I'll make my second in my 5 most confident. Sabadu Sai versus Alisakin. I'll take Alisakin in this fight by decision, but a little bit nervous, but yeah, I'll take Alisakin. Julia Budd versus Jenna Fabian. I'm taking Julia Budd at minus 240, and I get she had that fight with Diana Silva, NJ81's mentioned a few times, and she has been slowing down. I do still think she knows what she needs to do to beat Jenna Fabian here. So Julia Budd would be my third of the 5 parlay if I was making one. Magomed Kirimov versus Zepharino. I think this is going to be a tremendous fight. Edging ever so slightly with Magomed Kirimov, but I really think Zepharino has a real route and can win this fight. And at plus 400 is a crazy price. So look into it. Roy McDonald, Brett Cooper. Roy McDonald, I get he's on a downslope, but I'm still taking Roy McDonald here to get the submission. He would be my 4th leg of the 5-leg parlay. Anthony Pettis, Miles Price. Anthony Pettis looks to be in good shape. Should be the guy in Miles Price. So I'll take Anthony Pettis. Anthony Pettis, I will put as my 5th piece just because or Anthony Pettis and Ray Cooper, really either one could be my 5th piece. Ray Cooper I like as well over Carlos Leal, the time off and everything. But Carlos Leal has legit finishing capabilities and might just put it all into the first round and get the upset. So that's why I'd say Pettis over Cooper for my 5th leg. And then Kayla Harrison minus 7,500. Just don't do it. It's not going to do anything. So that's my 5 Zhang. And those are my overall picks. I apologize for a little bit of the noise and the disruptions here. I apologize for the pauses, but seriously, we got double-digit viewers here for an 8 a.m. PFL solo breakdown. I cannot express how much that means to me. Everybody who is here, everybody who has joined along on Aaron the Dog here. We've got 2 more breakdowns on the day here this afternoon. UFC 274 breakdown with Lewis of Norton MMA. And then this afternoon, evening at 5 p.m., 2 p.m. Pacific time, we have the LFA breakdown with Lucky Locks Picks. If you don't know about Lucky Locks Picks, you don't know about LFA breakdowns. So really good day on the channel. Awesome Friday coming up, and then the Saturday with the 274. We're going to finish out our breakdown strong the rest of the day. So I'll see you guys this afternoon for the UFC 274 breakdown show with Lewis of Norton MMA. That is at 2 p.m. So in about 5 hours, we'll be back here live, and then finishing up the night with the LFA breakdown show with Lucky Locks Picks. That is automatic money. Timestamps will be up in the comments within about 5 minutes after this. I'm going to work on them right after this. So enjoy your day, everybody. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Shout out to Kelly. Shout out to Visceral. Shout out to Zhang. Shout out to everybody who's joining, subscribing, passing this on to your friends. We're growing here. We're almost to 500 subscribers, and this has all been done organically. So we're just getting started here, and we're not going anywhere. So enjoy your day. Keep taking care of each other, everybody, and I'll see you this afternoon for the UFC and LFA breakdown shows. Peace out.